After Anissa forced herself on Mark, he sat there naked and helpless, regretting what had just happened. However, an old farmer came by and asked Mark if he was okay. Noticing that Mark was naked, he gave him his son's clothes. Mark then flew away. He went to meet Cecil and wore his costume. He told him everything about Rex and what Anissa had done to him. However, Cecil wasn't entirely sure about what Mark was saying regarding Rex. Mark explained that Robot had been on Traxa for around 1,000 years, and that they had lied to them. Suddenly, Rex appeared and said, "We decided to keep that to ourselves, as we feared it would seem too strange for you to understand. Maybe we were wrong to think you'd be suspicious. For that, I apologize. Mark, is that you? I saw you die. Your head was crushed. Did you somehow survive that injury?" Mark stepped forward and confronted Rex, saying that his plan was to conquer Earth. At first, Cecil wasn't convinced, but then he remembered that Rex had even asked for control over the global agency protocol, something highly suspicious. Rex pulled out a small knife from his suit and used a device to injure Mark. He then brutally stabbed Cecil, who started bleeding and said, "You really should have stayed where you were. This man's death is on you." Mark lay on the ground, screaming in pain as he watched Cecil die. Rex stepped on Cecil's head and crushed his face, continuing to kick it until it was brutally shattered. Mark rose and began punching Rex repeatedly until he was completely destroyed, while Cecil's lifeless body lay nearby. After the fight, Mark sat down. Rex, still functioning, said, "I know the one weakness you can't overcome. Meet me at your house." Without wasting a second, Mark flew home. Rex was standing in front of Eve when Mark burst into the house and told her to get behind him. Robot said, "Trust me like you trusted Dinosaurus." Mark replied, "I just watched you murder Cecil. This is his blood on me." Eve was shocked to hear that Rex had killed Cecil. She pleaded, "Don't do this. Not here? This is crazy. We don't have to fight." Mark shouted for Eve to run and lunged at Rex. However, Rex shot a small rope that wrapped around Eve's leg. Mark punched him, but Rex's suit released sonic waves that caused intense pain in Mark's brain. Robot told Mark, "The harder you hit me, the more pain you'll feel." Despite the agony, Mark hit him again, enduring brutal pain in his skull. Eve struggled to remove the rope and asked Rex, "Why are you doing this?" Rex violently ripped off her leg and told her to shut up. Mark held his wife, while Rex said, "I knew I couldn't beat you in a fight. I knew you would eventually defeat me. That's why I left you in another dimension. Now that you're back, this is the only way I can hurt you. Through Eve and your unborn child." Eve used her powers to crush Rex's head. Mark tied a piece of cloth around her leg to stop the bleeding. But suddenly, Robot rose again and threw a grenade at them. Mark screamed and the bomb exploded, destroying their entire house. Mark carried Eve to Nolan's base, while Robot teleported away. Meanwhile, Rex realized he had gone too far and needed to keep the Viltrumites away from this conflict. At the base, Mark told Eve to create a force field because he was about to fly into space. Eve refused, but Mark insisted, saying, "If you don't, both you and our baby will die." Eve created the field, and Mark flew into space. An alien informed Nolan that his son had arrived. Nolan rushed to Mark without a moment's hesitation. He saw Mark holding Eve in his arms, begging for help.